People have no chance to get their personal items out. They have no chance to call for help. And this is far away from most media outlets. You are amongst the very few journalists who have even seen this. European or American journalists who have even been here because people are afraid to come or it's too hard to come.
The fear of Islam, or what we call Islamophobia, is also related with Palestinian-Israeli conflict. And this conflict are of course have something to do with the media. How one side the news coverage appear to be, where we hear from and about Israelis frequently, the Palestinian side seem to be largely covered over at minimum and was sometimes completely hidden.
Israeli forces were killing hundreds of largely unarmed Palestinian men, women and children. Many of the children were being killed by gunshot wounds to the head, while some Israelis were also being killed during this period. These deaths were far fewer and virtually invariable occur after Palestinians' death. Over 19 Palestinian children were killed before a single Israeli child. Over 140 Palestinians, men, women and children living on their own land were killed before anyone in Israel was.
It was common for journalists in the region reporting for American media to have close personal ties to Israeli military. They may have legal, familial or emotional ties to the Israelis. Yet, another reporter for the New York Times has a son in the Israeli Defense Forces, Isabel Kushner. A correspondent in the newspaper Jerusalem Bureau says that her son is in training in the army. My 20-year-old son is currently performing his compulsory military service as a citizen of Israel, and as required by law. He has been in training so far, and my 17-year-old is still in high school. In fact, this is the third time in recent years that a writer who covers the conflict for America's leading newspaper has a son serving in an army that is regularly accused of human rights abuses. On each of those occasions, an outside publication has disclosed the army service.
Other than that, CNN anchorman Wolf Blitzer lived in Israel for many years. At one point, traveled around the US as the voice of Israel and had worked for an Israel lobby publication.
The Time magazine bureau chief was also an Israeli citizen. Time is an American weekly news magazine published in New York City. A European edition is published in London and also covers the Middle East, Africa and Latin America. Time has the world's largest circulation for a weekly news magazine and has a readership of 25 million, 20 million of which are based in the United States. NPR's longtime correspondent from the region also had an Israeli husband who had served in the military and may be an Israeli citizen herself. There was once a case in San Francisco Chronicle Company where one of its journalists was terminated because he wrote the truth about Palestine.
Henry Norris was terminated by San Francisco. Norris himself believes that the real reason was his activities related to Palestine. He had written a column about an Intel factory constructed illegally on Palestinian land.
Miller in Gannett Company, but this time the article was terminated.
The owners of Gannett newspaper had killed an article about something related to Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and this was the first time this had ever happened to him.